Welcome again to Ancient Tales for Today, a very old book, and we're looking at a very interesting story, a story that comes from a very, very long time ago, almost 4,000 years ago. I mean, we're talking about a long, long time ago. Now, last time we talked about the consequences of lies, 说谎的后果. Well, but the story hasn't finished yet. It definitely hasn't finished yet. Joseph still doesn't know whether his brothers have changed. So, today we're going to look at number 36, when you don't want your money back. Stay tuned.
Number 36, when you don't want your money back. Sometimes we're happy when there is a mistake in our favor, like when you get extra change back when you buy something, or maybe there is a mistake on a bill and you get more than you were meant to. I hope you do the honest thing and set the mistake right. When Joseph's brothers returned home from Egypt, they opened up their sacks of grain. Right there on top was their money they had paid for the grain. Here's a situation when you really don't want your money back. First, they didn't know why their money had been returned to them. Second, they worried that the people in Egypt would think they had stolen their money back. And third, how would they explain it if they had to go back to Egypt? Oh, what would you have said? Saying that someone gave you your money back without even telling you would be a difficult story to believe, wouldn't it? They were so worried that immediately when they got back to Egypt and their brother Simeon was released, they went to the chief servant to explain what had happened. They told him that they had found their money in their sacks of grain when they got home. They were worried that they were about to be arrested, but the man told them not to worry. He had received their payment. Huh? How very strange. It sounds very suspicious, doesn't it? Knowing that you were accused of being spies and had already spent 3 days in jail, I think you would have had the right to be very worried. Even though it wasn't a very believable story, they told it anyway. They were determined to tell the truth. They also told the man they had brought back the money along with more money to pay for more grain. Joseph could now see that they were no longer liars, but honest men.
Number 36, when you don't want your money back. Sometimes we're happy when there is a mistake in our favor. 有时候人家做错而对我们是有利, a mistake in our favor, 对我们有利的, okay? 的错误. Like when you get extra change back when you buy something. When you buy something, 你买一样东西，当他们把那个 to make change, that means to give your money back, 照钱. Sometimes they give you too much. Can you imagine how you feel? Whoa, today is my lucky day. I gave them money and they gave me back too much. Or maybe there's a mistake on a bill. What's a bill? 这个账单有错误. And you get back more than you were meant to. 本来你不要收这么多，但你收回的 他们退换换的是太多了。I hope that you do the honest thing and set the mistake right. That's true. I even wrote it in the story. 我希望你会做诚实的人，做诚实的事。You do the honest thing and set the mistake right. What does it mean to set the mistake right? It simply means to 更正. That is, if they've made a mistake, then you make it right. You do the right thing. You give them back the money. Whatever the mistake is, you make it right. 更正. When Joseph's brothers returned home from Egypt, they opened up their sacks of grain. Okay? So you remember the story now. Joseph's brothers have gone down to Egypt, and they've spent a little time in jail, and then they can go back now home. They're bringing food back home, okay, from Egypt. Now they opened up their sacks of grain, okay? They all had 袋子, right? 袋子, sacks. A sack is a 袋子. 五谷袋. Okay? So you've got these sacks of grain. Right there, 刚好, on the top was their money. What's this? Right on top was their money that they had paid for the grain. 他给的钱，每一个袋子放上他们的钱。Now, here is a situation when you really don't want your money back. 这种情况之下，根本不要人家退换你的钱。First, they didn't know why their money had been returned. 第一，他们根本不知道为什么人家就退换他们所给予的钱。Okay, so this is the first thing. They don't know why. I mean, they just don't know. 第二, second, they worried that the people of Egypt would think that they had stolen their money back. 他们就开始担心埃及人会不会想他们就把这些钱偷回来的。So they are thinking, first of all, they don't know why they got their money back. 为什么他们退换这个钱？ And then they worried, maybe they think we are thieves. 我们是小偷。Okay? And we stole the money back. Third, 第三, how would they explain it if they had to go back to Egypt? 他们怎么能够解释给埃及人? Of course, for a while there was no problem, right? Because they had food. But the bad years continued. The famine, 这个饥荒 continued. There was no food. So what's going to happen? They're going to have to go back and get some more food. Of course, when you run out of food in your house, what do? Well, you go to the store or the 超级市场, the supermarket, because you know that that's the place to find food. Okay? So, the brothers of Joseph, they knew where to find food. There was no stores in Palestine. There was no place to get food. the only thing they could do is to go back to Egypt. Now, if you go back to Egypt, what are you going to say? What would you have said? Okay, saying that someone gave you your money back without even telling you would be a difficult story to believe, wouldn't it? If you go back and you say that, well, somebody just gave us our money back. Oh, and they didn't tell us why they gave it back to us. That would be a very difficult story to believe, wouldn't it? 这个是一个很难以相信的一个故事 ，difficult to believe。这个故事就很难以相信，是不是 ？Wouldn't it? At the end of that sentence simply means 是不是 ？So you see the story now. The brothers have gone down to Egypt. They have spent some time in the jail, and then they get out, they get the money, they go back home. Now they have a big problem because the money they took is still there in their bags. Whoa. Now you'll want to stay by because we will have more of the story in a little bit. Now, for some light on your path, we turn to Proverbs 16:7.
箴言第16章第7节
It says here, when a man's ways are pleasing to the Lord, he makes even his enemies live at peace with him.
圣经说，人所行的若蒙耶和华喜悦，耶和华也使他的仇敌与他和好。
Now, in this story, Lena, what do you think about this story of Joseph and his brothers?
我看了这个经文，我就很有感觉啊。以前他的弟兄都恨恶他，可是因为他所行的都是上帝所喜悦的，所以连他的这些个恨他的弟兄也要跟他和好了。
Right. Now, it's interesting, isn't it, that they don't know Joseph. They don't know who he is.
对。
Okay, so now how does Joseph begin to trust them?
我看那个 Joseph 也很聪明哈，他有试验他的这些个兄弟，看他们有没有改变。如果还像以前一样的话，他可能就会做出一些什么。但是他看到他们改变了，然后他最后他也相信他们是不再说谎了。
Right. In fact, this is very important because no matter what we say, in English we say words are cheap. 你说的话是很便宜。
对，很容易说什么都可以，但是你有没有行为，是吧？
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to have some kind of proof that you really are trustworthy. And in this case, Joseph could see his brothers have changed. 他们真的是改变了。
对。
Okay, that's all for now on Light on Your Path. They were so worried that immediately when they got back to Egypt and their brother Simeon was released, they went to the chief servant to explain what had happened. Okay, they were so worried. You know, sometimes we are worried, 我们担心到什么地步 that immediately, for them at least, immediately when they got back to Egypt, that means when they returned. To got back means to returned to Egypt, what happened? And their brother was released. 他们的弟兄 Simeon 被释放 okay? Okay, 释放. They went to the chief servant. Now, of course, this is a servant, but he's the chief servant. This means 这个奴隶长 or the 最大的这个奴仆. This is the chief. This is the boss of the servants. 这个奴仆的boss, okay? And they went there immediately to explain what had happened. Okay, so they're just afraid. Remember, we talked about all the reasons why they were afraid. Going on. They told him that they had found their money in their sacks of grain when they got home. When they got home, 当他们回家的时候，打开袋子的时候，他们的钱都在袋子里面。They explained it just the way it was. They were telling the truth. It's just that way. They were worried, okay, 担心 that they would be arrested. 被埃及人被捕 arrested. When you are arrested 被捕, that means that you're controlled, often put into jail, okay? Most often put into jail. They were worried that they were about to be 快要被捕 okay? 被埃及人这个 okay? But the man told them not to worry. Hey, don't worry. Hey, don't worry. I can't imagine them believing that. I mean, they're very difficult. Don't worry. He had received their payment. He had received. Now, excuse me. He said he had received payment. But the money was still in their sacks. It sounds very strange. Very strange indeed. 奇怪得很. It sounds suspicious, doesn't it? It sounds suspicious. Okay, now, this is a good word. Suspicious. 可以怀疑的. Okay? Sometimes we say it sounds doubtful. You know, 怀疑 is to doubt. We all know 怀疑 is to doubt. Well, suspicious, it means the same thing. To be suspicious and to be doubtful, it seems the thing that 怀疑 听起来很可疑 very. It doesn't sound like true. Nobody would give the money back, right? Knowing that you were accused being spies, 他们上一次是被告，你是间谍, okay? They knew this. The people of Egypt also knew that they had that they were probably spies. Okay? And they had already spent 已经3天坐牢. Okay? They had already spent 3 days in jail. I think you would have the right to be worried. What does it mean to have the right? 一定 可以怀疑，一定可以怀疑。Because, I mean, already, but remember, they actually have guilt. They already are dealing with the guilt. 那他们已经面对约瑟的内疚感。You know, they had sold him, they had lied about him, and all of this. And then they go to Egypt, and the people there, it looks like they are spies, but they aren't. But it looks like it is. And this is very interesting. Now, going on, even though it was a very believable story, 不是一个很相信的一个故事啊，很难相信的一个故事。They told it anyway because it was the truth. 还是要说出来。They were determined to tell the truth, no matter the consequences. 他们已经做了决定，很决心的要说真理，真的事情，真相啊。They 不管这个后果。Now that's pretty good. They have changed. They have changed just a whole lot. They also told the man they had brought back the money along with more to pay for more grain. So they told the man, they brought back the original money, 原来的那个钱，退换的那个钱，带回来， and money to buy more grain. So now you have the grain for 2 times. Joseph could see that they were no longer liars but honest men. Joseph could see that they were no longer liars but honest men. 现在可以看他们是老老实实的。But there's more to the story. So we'll be back, at least for the conclusion, in just a moment. Thanks for joining us now for Words You Need to Know. The first one is a very interesting one, Lena. A mistake in your favor.
这句真的很有意思，我也是第一次去尝试了解它。原来这里说的就是说，这种是对我们有利的错误，有的人故意的去做一些事情，其实是讲它的结果是对我有益处的。
Okay, have you ever bought something and the clerk gave you back more money than you were supposed to get? No, really? But because many times I go and 他给我换钱呢，给我的太多了，
对，
所以对我是有利啊。Now what do you do? Is it
给回他了，要给回他
Yeah,
了。
of course, of course. Okay, let's take a look at another one here. Released.
释放，被释放。
Okay, and they released Simeon, the older brother, and he was released from prison. Well, I guess that's about all the time we have for words you need to know. Well, we've been looking at this story, and this was number 36, When You Don't Want Your Money Back. We've talked about being honest all the time. 根本不要说谎. We will never tell a lie. We will always tell the truth. And finally, they were willing to do that. So, the story isn't finished though, because the brothers do not know that Joseph is really their brother. So, we want to check out the next story. Number 37, the next time, what do you do when you are starving? We'll see you then.
That's all for today, and thanks for watching. If you like Ancient Tales for Today, please visit atft.chinesehope.tv. You may also contact us by writing to ancienttalesfortoday@gmail.com. Again, that's ancienttalesfortoday@gmail.com. Tell your friends about Ancient Tales for Today. See you next time.